My family came from Mexico in around 1972. I was a couple years old. I had 3 siblings, 2 older brothers and an older sister.
Depression is a mental health disorder where you are constantly in a sad mood that is really hard to get out of. You are usually found losing interest in activities that were once enjoyable. You have a loss in energy and have thoughts of suicide and death. In a study that looked just at first-generation immigrant Latino youth, they were able to conclude that they had an increased rate for depression and anxiety.
A lot of the parents wouldn't let the other little kids play with me. So I pretty much isolated myself from everybody else, so I would stay in the house and watch all the other kids play.
In the National Trend Study, they found that there has been larger increase in depressive symptoms in girls than boys in most recent years. Trends of suicide has also increased among adolescent girls and women.
It is pretty much difficult for a Hispanic kid to come from other countries or whatever country you come from and try to live in this country without other people picking on you for your heritage or the language you speak.
In a study that looked just at first-generation immigrant Latino youth, they were able to conclude that the unique immigration stressors such as traumatic events and discrimination increased their risk for depression and anxiety. In the National Trends Study, they found that in a 12-month period, the prevalence of mental depressive episodes increased from 8.7% in 2005 to 11.3% in 2014. They were able to conclude that depression in adolescents and young adults has increased in recent years. They also found that most adolescents with depression did not seek treatment or were just unable to receive treatment.
My older sister had a lot of the girls pick on her and were bullying her and stuff like that. So she pretty much isolated herself from the other students. My one brother would go to school and get beat up almost every other day. So he was more of the aggressive one who got into gangs, drugs, drinking. Growing up, like I said, we would speak Spanish, and a lot of, even the adults would tell me, you know, you live in the United States, why don't you speak English?
In a study that looked just at first-generation immigrant Latino youth, they stated that while anxiety was most strongly associated with legal status, the risk for depression was most strongly associated with having experienced discrimination in the U.S. In a sample taken by people who have been in the U.S. for about 4.5 years, they were able to find that discriminatory experiences can affect first-generation Latino youth. Teen depression may have definitely been a factor among first generations of immigrants, but due to the fact of lower rates of medical services, these adolescents may not have gotten the treatment that they needed. Rates of depression in adolescents from immigrants of earlier generations may not necessarily be less than higher generations, just not as reported. This is the reason that higher generation adolescents from immigrants may have an increase of depression. It appears that the risk of anxiety and depression in immigrant Latino youth reduces with time spent in the U.S.